From Hyderabad, Professor Hargopal is visiting faculty at the Bangalore National Law School. Sudha Ramalingam of the PUCL, well-known human rights activist. Dr. Udipan Mukherjee, writer and analyst of the Maoist movements in India. M.V. Bhaskar, former DGP Andhra Pradesh. My first question is to General G.D. Bakshi. Do you think there is any appropriate night than tonight to ask the human rights activist, General Bakshi, to come out with an unequivocal condemnation without ifs and buts? Because every time we ask human rights activists to take a position on such brutalities, they say, we condemn it, but. And then they go on to, speak a lot about the Indian state. Is the time tonight, General Bakshi, in your view, to remove those ifs and buts?
Absolutely, Arnab. Where human rights stem from genuine human compassion and concern for decency, one has all the support for them. But it is extremely unfortunate that what we are seeing in this country is a set of motivated foreign-funded NGOs creating an enabling environment for terrorism of this sort, for rapists of the Delhi sort, and crying crocodile tears. And you see, the hypocrisy of their response is so evident. When there is any atrocity against by the terrorists against the security forces, it is blanked out. We are given the insult of being told, look, you are paid. You are paid to get killed. I am paid to die a decent death. I am not paid to die and be shut up and cut up and slaughtered. Like a pig stuck on the rye. I mean, what is this? Please see two sets of situations today that your soldiers who are doing their utmost for you, who have laid down their lives for you, are facing. One, on the international border, the line of control.
Truly.
They are people, if they die, if they get killed, that's fine.
Remove the ifs and buts.
They are being mutilated, tortured.
On the border and inside.
What are we told? The peace process must go on.
Let's hear the other side.
Arnab, what are we told? The peace process is unstoppable. Who cares for your soldiers? If there are these CRPF troopers fighting in the internal defense of this dear country.
And this is what has happened to them.
Look at the way they are treated.
This is what has happened.
Is there a word of condemnation?
This is what has happened to them, and I want to repeat it deliberately so the people of this country know what we are talking about. Before I go to Professor Hargopal and Sudha Ramalingam, who I am sure will respond without any ifs and buts today. One injured Jawan's back was fitted with an IED. Another Jawan's intestine was taken off to fit the IED, the improvised explosive device. A third's tongue was slashed, his eyes were gouged. Surgical implantations were carried in one body. In two bodies, the bombs were planted externally. The photographs of the dead body of the Jawans suggest that the inhuman treatment was meted out, which include eyes being gouged, tongue slit, beheaded and chopped arms. Professor Hargopal and Sudha Ramalingam, who do you think would do this? Would any civilized person, any human being do this?
Would you like me to answer?
Definitely, yes, sir. Go ahead, Professor. First to you and then I'll come to Ms. Ramalingam.
Yeah. No, I think, see, the point is that supposing I say that condemn this entire mindless violence of the Maoists and stop here, then if I have answered your question satisfactorily, I stop here. But if we want that, we should go deeper into the process and see that these things do not get repeated, what is that we should do? Perhaps there will be a lot of difference between the civil liberties perspective and the police perspective, and these are two different perspectives. So you can keep on blaming the human rights activists, and human rights activists can go on blaming the police. But if the matter stops there, then I think the civil society will have to be a dumb spectator of what is happening in the country between the two groups, and there is an armed conflict, and these things are happening. So therefore, I think if you can find a convergence point where you think that there is a possibility that both of us collectively go into the deeper process, then I think I am willing to debate. But if you say that there is no hope for any further debate.
Professor, simply put, please, let me place a very simple and sensible argument before you. You were named by
Where do you
by
stand
these
on this
Maoist
moral
terrorists.
argument?
One second. Professor, you were named by the Maoist terrorists as their interlocutors. They want your interlocutor during the negotiations for the release of Sukhma District Collector Alex Paul Menon, if I'm not mistaken, and you agreed. Am I correct? This happened in April last year.
Yeah. Yes, I have gone. Yes, I have
So
gone.
I just want to know today whether you feel if you were ever to be approached for anything, because you are for a political solution and not a military approach to the problem of Maoist terrorism, would you say that having done what they have done, placed bombs in the intestines of dead CRPF Jawans, that you will feel embarrassed to ever negotiate anything on behalf of such animals?
No, but you know that mediation never takes place on behalf of one. Mediation always takes place on behalf of the two. Mediation does mean talking to
So
both
that
the
is-
parties.
Okay.
You know, in the case of the Orissa, when the Maoists
sir.
suggested, Chief
Sir, this
Minister contacted us and requested
Sir,
us to
this-
intervene.
sir,
We have
this you
intervened.
see-
In the case of Chhattisgarh, government contacted
this-
us and
sir,
they
this-
said that
sir,
you
this-
please intervene, that we have gone.
Sir, I am putting your argument back to you. And Sudha Ramalingam in an article on the right of life said, and I'm coming to Dr. Udipan Mukherjee, and after that I want to see Sudha Ramalingam's argument hold intellectually after this barbarism. Udipan Mukherjee, I'm coming to you. Sudha Ramalingam, you said this: while jurisprudentially rich and considered immutable, in reality the right to life, taken in its strict and narrow sense, is easily dispensed with in the name of security, terrorism, Naxalism, or any populist concern. Apply that logic, Sudha Ramalingam, and prepare to answer me as I ask you how you will apply the right to life in the context of what has happened to the CRPF Jawans. Dr. Udipan Mukherjee wanted to contradict you, I suppose. Professor R. Gopal, yes, Dr. Mukherjee.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Goswami. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I guess we don't need to prop up any thesis to buttress our arguments over here. I'd like to pose rather a few questions to our learned activists. And I think not only me, but I think the whole country would like or desire to have those questions posed before them. Number one, first question of mine is, what exactly is the concept of human rights or definition of human rights that the activists would like to have us believe in India, as they interpret it in India? Number two, the second question, would they kindly clarify their stance in this ongoing insurgency? Because that is very important. Because unless and until they clarify their stance in this insurgency...
No, how do you want to
it
clarify
would
the
appear
stance?
to us-
Be specific, and then I'll take it to Sudha Ramalingam. How do you want her to clarify her stance?
Exactly. I mean, I would like to have Mrs. Sudha Ramalingam to clarify the stance of human rights activists in this ongoing insurgency, because unless and until they clarify their stance, it would appear that they are colluding with the Maoists covertly. That is my point.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Sudha Ramalingam, there'll be no ifs and buts in your answer today. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I thank you, Arnab, for giving me a little time, first of all. See, I would like to first and foremost tell you that we are putting the cart before the horse. PUCL has always been condemning violence of any form, whether it be by the state or by other organizations rather. We have never stated that anyone should be killed. Every life is precious, whether it be the persons who belong to the state forces or whether they belong to the civil society or other organizations. Having said that, all that we try to say is
comes the but.
uphold the rule of law.
There comes the but.
Kindly wait. No, kindly wait. Without a but, we cannot answer anything. You don't try to answer for me. If you're going to answer for me, you don't need to call me to this debate. You'll have to listen to me.
So you bring the but in.
Nothing is between, there's no only white and grey, white and black. There are lots of shades of grey between white and black.
I want you to address the issue of the, 1 minute. General Bakshi want to come in. I actually wanted to go back to MP Bhaskar Rao 1 minute. General Bakshi wants to interject.
What human rights is. Kindly, Arnab, understand what human rights is. See, we have the ordinary Indian Penal Code, ordinary criminal law, which would deal with offences committed by ordinary citizens.
No, Sudha Ramalingam. Sudha Ramalingam.
Madam, these are strong moral imperatives that are being discussed. How do you fight? What are you prepared to do to achieve your aim?
You are trying to belittle everything. You are trying to
please listen. Give me half a second.
Paint everyone black.
Give me half a second. In a battlefield, we have medics. You know, they wear Red Cross. And armies don't kill them, even if they are of the enemy side. Whom are you trying to kill when you try and plant IEDs in the bodies of a dead and dying man? Instead of giving him water, instead of giving him medicine, you know, you are saying there have to be ifs and buts. There are no shades of grey in a moral imperative like this. It is black and white. You please define yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have fought on battlefields. Red Cross people are not killed. Whom are you targeting when you put the
we don't want anyone to be killed, whether it be Red Cross or state or civil society.
Sir, but
I mean,
you
are wretched. The way you fight shows you who you are.
You know, Sudha Ramalingam.
The way you fight shows us who you are.
Sudha Ramalingam and Mr. Hargopal, I just want to go to Bhaskar Rao. I simply want to feel today the same sense of moral outrage which human rights activists feel when they say that CRPF jawans or security men have carried out some brutality on Maoist terrorists. Why do I get a strong sense that same moral outrage is not just diminished, it is non-existent when I tell you about this instance of tongues being slit, eyes being gouged, beheadings, chopped arms, and of intestines of dead CRPF jawans being fitted with pressure bombs and IEDs. You seem to be shocked, but honestly, I don't see the outrage in either Professor Hargopal or Sudha Ramalingam. MB Bhaskar Rao, do you sense the outrage, or am I missing something?
No, I think it's absolutely outrageous, most despicable. What exactly the Maoists have done is something like what the Pakistani soldiers have done to the Indian soldiers. Now I would say, let me tell you that the Maoists always wanted something called red terror. Whenever they do something like this, kill people or otherwise, they always want to spread the fear among the forces. So this is not something which is new. Now this is even in late 1960s, early 70s, when there was this Naxalite movement in Srikakulam. The Maoists at that time, the Marxist-Leninists as they used to call them, they used to kill the class enemies and collect all the blood, dip their fingers in that blood and write slogans on the walls saying Inqilab Zindabad, Mao's are chairman, this, that and the other. So now I would say this has gone a little too far. Earlier it was only they were resorting to killing people, killing mostly the policemen and also the innocent tribals and those others by merely stamping them that they are police informants. Now as far as the Maoists are concerned, there are no rules, there are no regulations, there is nothing that can hold them back. And today, what is happening is they are using the dead bodies as suicide bombers. Since they do not have suicide bombers, they thought this is the best way of luring the policemen, getting them blasted by using the IEDs.
Yeah, but
this is not something new in Andhra Pradesh.
But have we let them off?
It over a period
now, has the state gone soft? Udipan Mukherjee is I have 3 minutes on this. My only question is, did the state go soft somewhere? Over the last 1.5 years, we went soft on them, which is why we are allowing them to carry out these atrocities. We haven't put fear in the minds of these Maoist terrorists. Political compulsions have come in the way somewhere. Yes, Udipan.
No, I don't think state has gone soft, because in the last year, if you look at it, Arnab, state has been really hard. The targeted campaign has worked really well, and kudos to the security forces. They have worked really well, and it has worked. I'll tell you, the targeted approach by eliminating the leadership of the Maoists has worked well. For example, we have eliminated Azad in 2010, we have eliminated Kishanji in 2011. Their Politburo is under deep trouble. Most of the leaders are behind bars. So I can't see there is any problem in the state approach in the last 1 or 2 years. So it's not that the state going soft again or anything. This is basically a reaction that was expected from the Maoist side. For example, for the last 3 or 4 months, there has been a lull in their activity. This was something that was expected. But the interesting point that I would like to add over here is this aspect that happened in Jharkhand, in Latehar, in a couple of days back. is something probably the Dandakaranya core group would like to defy. For example, they would say that we would sever all our connections with the Jharkhand group and we have nothing with them. They are splinter groups and they are doing something on their own. This was not mandated by the core Ganapati or somebody sitting at the Politburo. So they will create this sort of a detachment with the splinter groups in other states, you know.
Udipan, I get your point. However, I want to see. No, Professor Hargopal, I don't want to get into the hierarchy of the Maoist organization. Professor Hargopal, I want you to take a position today on what these Maoist terrorists did. Now, in this case, even if the Jawan who was mutilated had not bled to death, he would have died if he had even moved 1 centimeter to seek help. If he moves 1 centimeter to seek help, he explodes. Professor Hargopal, tell me, how many covenants or laws on human rights does this violate? And will you and Sudha Ramalingam now hit the streets, carry out a morcha, have a silent march, and even a candlelight vigil?
Right. Candlelight,
Take a position, go on the streets against what they have done.
So I have to ask 2 questions to you. One is that, see, if you look at the history of the civil liberties movement, all over the world the civil liberties movements have come up when the state started indulging and crossing the limits of the law. I mean, that is the
origin. So you are actually justifying this. I'm quite surprised. I'm quite surprised. This is going the wrong.
State when it exceeds the limits. Sir, now, second thing is that in the French Revolution, if you see the defense of Thomas Paine, French Revolution, Thomas Paine said that the way people were killed by the state has led to the brutality of the French Revolution, which he justified and wrote a full book. And Thomas Paine is the most respected philosopher in the human rights now. So therefore, I know there is no point. I appeal to my both the police friends that there is no point in going on. See, supposing you silence human rights movement, will you think that you will meet with Maoist movement?
Sir, I am not interested in silencing. I want you to have a greater voice.
Tirelessly
Professor, you are a professor of law. You are a professor of law.
Like
1 minute, Sudha Ramalingam, he asked me a question. He asked me 2 questions. I will now reply in 1 sentence.
I would like to tell you one thing.
Sudha Ramalingam, he asked me a question.
Please.
Should I answer to what he said? Professor, my answer to what you said is this. No, my answer to, first my answer, Sudha Ramalingam. My answer to the respected professor.
No, why are you embarrassing the civil liberties movement? I just
Professor, why should you feel embarrassed?
Why are you embarrassing civil liberties movement?
But why are you feeling embarrassed?
No, if you are supposing all civil liberties movement are silent. Let's say that for next 10 years we are silent.
So why are you feeling embarrassed?
The Maoist movement?
Sir, if you don't hold a candle for these...
society
no, why are you... Professor,
respect the civil liberties
Professor, you're a very senior man.
We have tried...
You're a very senior man. I don't want to embarrass you.
Why don't you recognize that?
Professor, 1 minute.
Why are you going on asking the embarrassing questions civil liberties
Professor,
movement?
why should my question be embarrassing? No, 1 second. Professor, why should my question be embarrassing when I also, as an amateur student of law, know that the Covenant Against Torture, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the Geneva Convention, 1949 and 2, all the things which you quote in your law schools completely go against the grain of what the terrorists have done today. Why should my factual position be considered embarrassing? GD Bakshi, you want to respond? Please go ahead. After that, Sudha Ramalingam, I have 1 minute on the debate. GD Bakshi, please.
Yeah, Arnab, they say hypocrisy is the worst sin. Hypocrisy is the worst sin. What is sauce for the goose is not sauce for the gander. When these human rights are selectively implied to impede, slow down and put on the back feet government operations, slow them down, create that kind of a pressure, a kind of a psychological pressure to impede legitimate government operations. That is when we question these so-called human rights organizations.
So you are justifying, sorry, Professor, Professor, simply I'll tell
I'm
you,
not
if you are justifying putting a bomb inside the intestine of a dead CRPF Jawan, I am sorry, that has no justification,
If
sir.
somebody is asking a question, why do you say it's a justification? I
Sir,
don't understand why
sir,
you consider. I am saying
sir,
that in
I,
Andhra Pradesh, to prevent loss of human life,
So,
15
Professor,
people work tirelessly
Professor,
for 10 years to bring
Professor,
the Maoists to destruction.
Professor, can I tell you one thing?
What else you want from civil liberties?
I'll tell you one thing. I'll now tell you the brutal details. I am not a theoretical person. I'll tell you just one thing. The improvised explosive device, and you can, this is food for thought, you think about it tonight. And you ask yourself whether you're right or
Baba,
wrong.
see, nobody is approving that.
The IEDs was fitted
do you think
into
they are approving?
into the stomachs of the two personnel. The one in the body of CRPF Jawan Baijnath Kisku exploded, inflicting further casualties. I don't know why you want to try and justify that. Sudha Ramalingam, you want to have a last word on this? And then I wrap up the debate. Yes, Sudha Ramalingam.
No, Arnab, in Andhra
You know how the state is abusing its powers?
No, but-
You know how the state is being suppressing
Or
people?
the
all
same
the
human
problems
rights
that
to
you
the
are talking
policemen
about.
also.
One second.
Talks about
The
civil
Human Rights
liberties,
Act
talks
does
about
justify
protection
this.
of
Should they not
people,
extend-
protection of life.
To the ex-DGP, to
Not
the
the
ex-DGP
civil
in
rights.
Hyderabad, he's responding to you. Sudha Ramalingam, hear him. Go ahead, sir.
Now should
It's not
not the
responsible.
same human rights be extended to the ordinary
I don't
CRPF
think
Jawans who are also the policemen, who are also ordinary citizens? They are doing their job. You can't be that cruel, that despicably violent. It is something like what you behaved is something like the gang rape accused of Delhi. So they also are human beings. Don't degrade them.
To all our viewers tonight.
So it's
To our viewers tonight, I have one question.
Violence.
No, you see, we have strong points of view. We have all points of view tonight on the program. Only one question I have: would the Maoist terrorists have had the guts to mutilate the bodies of CRPF Jawans if they had not had a feeling that the state has gone soft on them? I want to hear where you, the viewers, stand on this. And I will be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. with the relevant story and the straightforward debate. Till then, only till tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, good night and goodbye.